You have to wonder, sometimes, how do you find out the actual answer? So with homicide, that's difficult often in cases. But a double homicide, and there's a witness in the house, there's 2 witnesses in the house, and guess what? One slept through it. The other was only 6 years old and found her parents slain. Now the one that's awake is now gone from a witness as a teen, Miss Sarah Grace Patrick, to the main suspect. And it has held me for the last week into a research deep dive that I'm going to share today with you. So if you don't know anything about the case, don't worry, I'll bring you up to speed. But her trial's coming up. And so, well, it'll be January of 2025 if everything goes right. I go from, of course she did it because of that, to, oh my God, there's no way because of this. But it's really going to be your own discernment. And that's what's being tested in this case. Can you discern the truth from the illusion of Sarah Grace Patrick? Happened in Carroll, in Georgia. Little home, small home, 1 level. Should have been able to hear the gunshots, right? The 5-year-old, the 6-year-old did. But Sarah Grace, she didn't hear them. Hi everybody, welcome back to 1111 True Crime. I've been gone for almost 2 weeks. I put a couple videos in there once in a while, but I am feeling really good. Thank you so much, Debbie Gazzardo. I do feel better. We're talking about Sarah Grace Patrick today, and oh my, is there some information to share with you. So I'm going to walk you through the deep dive of the case from beginning to end today, and hopefully we'll be able to give you enough of this case to understand more about it, in the sense of if you feel she did it or not. This is going to be one of the most interesting trials that I will watch out of all my years of true crime. Over 100 cases. This has me very fascinated. First of all, she's not even an adult. She's only 17. The homicides of her parents took place when she was 16 in February of this year. So in February, on the 20th of February, sometime during the night, now wait, let me back up. She is currently at this time living with her stepdad and her mom. And he has a very severe heart problem. And I believe he might even be waiting for a heart transplant. He's on an evac, which is an alarm if something goes wrong with the heart. It's very loud. Of course, when a homicide happens, the evac is going to go off. And it's very loud. So how is it that the 6-year-old heard all this, but Sarah Grace didn't hear it? We're going to have to find out. There's a lot more to this. I would ask some personal prayers here to go out to Jennifer Swain. She needs our love. Jenny is very sick. I think she caught what Mama D has. And there's a lot of you that need some prayers. So send our 1111 family lots of good energy. And it's just great to see all the familiar faces. Prime Candy, Ocean Deep, Mazda, Jennyville, Carla, Jackie, welcome back. Zozo, Good Vibes Only is here. Rage, not that rage. Good to see you all. So we are live, and we've dropped off the algorithm. So I'm going to ask you guys, because I was gone for almost 2 weeks, if you can do me a favor. Let this play all the way through. Watch it to the end. I want to say thank you to the replay crew. You guys are amazing for keeping the channel alive for the last 2 weeks while I have been out due to illness, okay? Because you guys made it happen. We have still been gaining subs. We are 60 away, just 60 away from 38,000 subs, which is incredible. I think we deserve them. We work hard on our cases. We are not just a fly-by-night channel. We really deep dive. Yes, prayers for Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you, guys. She needs them. I think she got what Mama D got. I'm worried. All right, you guys. So here's the big question. Let's pop this out. Whoa, almost hit my head on it. Did she do it? That's what everybody needs to know. That's what we're going to be finding out. And do you think she did it or not? Wait till you hear all this. It's going to blow your mind. Yes, it helps just as much, if not more, the replay crew does. It helps a lot. And I want to thank my live crew too. Wowza, 38,000. All right, did she do it? Are you ready to get into this? Okay. Let's clear the board and jump over. We will be coming to you guys. We are an interactive live chat. And so I will be taking in your information at the same time. We'll be going over it together. So I did my very best on getting the basics. There is an entire lifetime worth of information I could share with you, but I chose to be very selective of what I'm showing you to just give you the base of the entire thing. Let me move my logo. It's right over the chat. Let's put it over here. And we'll put it on top of her. Or not. There. All right, that way you can see full chat. Ooh, take a deep breath. Here we go. We're going to start off with the 911 call. Now, I don't have it all, but this is the base of it. Take a deep breath. Oh, I should give you a... Okay, so if you have headphones on, slip them off. I'm about to hit the goat. That's our trigger warning. This is the actual dispatch. Now, it's not the 911 call where she's calling it in. It's just after that.
31, highest Carrollton Road. 1531, highest Carrollton Road. Off of Willie Walker Road. Reference to a cardiac.
First of all, yes, he said Willie Wonka Road. I kid you not.
Speak for the
MC dispatch, I'm 23.
932. Be advised. The complaint is stepdad or just beyond PPR.
Reference to a cardiac arrest. Complaints advising that the mother and the stepfather are called to the touch. They think they're beyond CPR and doesn't see anything around them that's suspicious. Law enforcement is en route with you.
5 dispatches. 2 people down at the location.
That's 10-4.
I'll be on the response.
49 display. This is unclear. We got 2 109D, same address.
That's 10-4. What was the numerics again? 531.
49 dispatches. Anybody else at the residence?
Display. This is unclear. We got 2 109D, same address.
That's 10-4. What was the numerics again?
All right. So, one thing that's interesting is this is a quote right from the communication director for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office named Ashley Husley. So Husley is explaining that at the time of the crime, when they responded, the weapon was not located at the scene of the crime, which led them to believe that it was a double homicide and not a murder delete, as many were speculating online. So this is days after, and we're establishing right off the bat, there's no smoking gun. Even though you're going to hear that this stepdad and the mother each had multiple pew-pew wounds, okay? No weapon ever found at the crime scene. That's really important. And I know some people will wonder that. But it truly is that they have no weapons still to date. Now, this just took place in February, on the 20th of February. By July, they already had arrested Sarah Grace Patrick. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to grab the original report that came on the news and let you understand a little bit there. And then we'll come back in and grab some chat.
Killed in their bed in Carroll County is pleading for answers. Investigators with the sheriff's office are asking for the public's help to solve this horrific crime. Fox 5's Eric Mock joins us from the scene at the home on Tyus Carrollton Road with the latest.
Well, the sheriff's office tells me they never see violent crime like this in a rural part of Carroll County like this.
Do you guys notice that that is often said when we're covering a case? Often they say things like, this has never been seen in our town, right? I always find that interesting because then we go dig into it and we're like, what about the murder, double suicide thing happened 2 months ago or something, you know? So I don't know why they always have that need to lead with that, you know, this is nothing like this has ever happened before.
Now, this couple did leave behind several children, and they were also deeply loved by their church family in Carrollton. Talking to members of their church family Friday, it's clear that James and Kristin Brock were loved by many.
She always encouraged you. She was definitely a friend that you would want to have around.
The couple had recently joined and were very active at Catalyst Church in Carrollton, where those who knew them best say they would give the shirt off their backs to help someone else.
My shoe was untied, and before I knew it, Kristin was down on her knees tying my shoe. And I just thought, I looked down at her and I was like, what are you doing? You don't have to tie my shoe. But it was just the smallest act of kindness. And it just meant so much to me. And I remember her looking up at me and saying, this is the type of friend I want to be.
Which is why they're so baffled someone would want to kill them.
The weapon.
All right. There is a lot of church in this case. So Sarah Grace, the one that is now accused of the double homicide of her mother and Kristin, and James, her dad. So Kristin and James Brock. There's a lot of church. So she's living currently, or was at the time that this took place, with her mother, Kristin, and her stepdad, James, and they're married, and their last name is Brock. Now, Sarah Grace Patrick, her father also goes to the same church, and they're all about this church. They're very much, all of them, about love and God and religion. And I don't know if that plays a part or not, but I do find it strange that all of them go to the same church, all right? Exactly. Lots of church. And the bio dad goes there too. Right, Jenny Bell? Right. So, that being said, a lot of these news broadcasts are interviews by the family. However, you've got to remember, and this is really important, they just joined the church for a few months now. Kristin and James have not been at this church very long at all. So, how can they at the church give a character reference? How would you possibly know someone? First of all, everybody is on their best behavior when you go to church. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying we got to keep it real. Because someone happens to go to church doesn't mean that they don't have evil in their heart. That they're trying, maybe they have their own demons they're trying to battle. But that being said, let's go ahead and get back into the community here.
Was not located on scene, which led us to believe it was a double homicide and not a murder-suicide.
Ashley Halsey with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office says their investigators have been combing the home on Tyus Carrollton Road since early Thursday morning. A family member found the couple dead in their bed with gunshot wounds.
Okay, that family member that found them dead in their bed is Sarah Grace's 6-year-old little sister. Found her parents with multiple gunshot wounds in their bed. Woke her big sister, Sarah Grace, up. Now, there is, back and forth. Did the 6-year-old call 911 or did Sarah Grace call 911? One of them called 911. I'm not sure who. But there's no weapon being found, so that makes it a lot more difficult.
This is a very quiet community. We may have a few thefts here and there, but we definitely don't have violent crime. So this is very unusual in this area.
Now investigators need the public's help to solve this shocking crime.
So any information, no matter how small it may seem, could be just that key that cracks this case wide open.
And on behalf of the Brock family, their church family is also pleading for answers.
Their family is hurting and they just want answers.
I just wish they would just turn themselves in. Don't prolong this family's angst.
And Halsey tells me if you even just have a few seconds of ring camera footage, or if you know anything about what happened here Thursday, they want you to call them immediately. For now, reporting in Carroll County, Eric Mock, Fox.
I want to say thank you again for all your prayers for healing me, because I do. I feel wonderful, Wendy. I feel really good. I am about 90% right now, maybe 75, but I want to feel 90. I want to feel 100. So, all right, you guys. So there's the little house. So, if it wasn't Sarah, then someone would have had to break into the house, and then they would have had to have a weapon. So if Sarah, you're going to find out, doesn't drive, right? So where's the murder weapon? She couldn't have drove it off. It would have been seen on camera that she drove off. Now, I want to tell you right now, my lovelies, I want you to hit the like button, because I dug for 45 minutes back into Sarah Grace Patrick's father's Facebook to get the very first post that he showed after the homicides took place. There are some out there that believe he is a suspect, that he may have done it to get at his ex. All right? So his name is Donald Patrick. This isn't his post, though. This is the first post that Sarah Patrick actually makes herself. Come with me, dear. She says, it's Sarah, Kristin's daughter, for those of you who didn't know. This mostly says what happened. However, the parts he didn't know at the time was Jaylee, my sister, had found them and came and woke me up. So right there, she's saying it herself, that the little 6-year-old found them and woke her up. I won't go into further detail, but know that there are things on the news that are not true. Not any more than that in the 1111 Live as far as we know. But the rumors and the assumptions do not help unless you contact the police about it. However, I trust in God to make this right, and I know He will. And the truth will come out in the end. Now, this was 3 days after the homicides. She goes on to say, if you know something, please, please, please speak up. I beg of you, because this split me and my sister up after such a traumatic day none of us deserved. My animals have to find new homes. My home is gone. I can't even get my wallet or clothes or anything, even a Bible. I lost my sense of safety. Most of all, they took my mother and my stepdad that were there when my amazing father couldn't be. It's been horrific, and I would like if people would hug their family extra long after you see this. I wish I got up and hugged her when I said goodnight. You never know how much you'll regret not doing it until it's too late. I pray for whoever did this, but this was not right, and I need answers why. But until then, I'm going to put my trust in God to take care of them in heaven and watch over me and my loved ones. I thank everyone at Catalyst Church today for safety. I don't want to mention any names specifically, but thank you for blessing my family and for praying over me and being a vessel of the Lord in my life. I love my catechism. Okay? So, she said, I beg of you, because it split me and my sister up after such a traumatic day none of us deserved. And then she goes on to talk about how now her animals have to have new homes. Then she says her house is gone. But it's weird when she says, I can't even get my wallet or clothes or anything. And then she says, even a Bible. Like, you know, that's the least thing you'd be worried about is your Bible. But yet she's all, okay. But why are her parents last in this? I lost my sense of safety. And then she adds, and most of all, they took my mother and my stepdad that were there when my amazing father couldn't be. I don't know. I just think it's weird. I don't know if that's just me picking, but I mean, for the wallet, like if you were listing out your bad day, let's say the worst thing that happened is that you lost a family member, okay? We'll say you lost a goldfish, passed away, named Charlie. That happened to me. Well, he was a betta, actually. That's my worst thing. But if somebody came over to me and I was trying to tell them of my day, and maybe I'm wrong, but I wouldn't be like, well, I stubbed my toe this morning. I overslept for work. My brother yelled at me. My teacher said that the dog ate my homework. And I lost my goldfish. I think I'd be like, I lost my goldfish named Charlie. And then, like, you know, everything else is falling apart too. I don't know where my billfold is. I don't know what my brother said. I don't know. It's an odd list of things to order. Right, Jennyville. Oh, and my Bible. Okay, that's what I'm asking. Definitely a little odd. Seems the list is out of order in priority. Thank you for putting it in that way, Zoe. Thank you, guys. Sounds like her dad wrote it, Carla says. You'd be devoid, OD. Good vibes. Thank you. I need it, lovely, right now. I need the love and the support. Oh, and thank you for the snooper chat. I meant the love. I need the love right now. I'm a little bit, you know, trying to get back on the swing of things. I've been deep dived into this case. There's a lot to share. Thank you, Good Vibes Only, for that snooper chat. Appreciate it. Sarah Lowe says, everyone smash that like button. And remember, you guys, I'm going to add on to that. We're almost at 38,000 subs. It might be you that pushes us right over the goal. If you watch on the TV and use a phone or tablet to chat, you can double up on the likes. It'll really help boost the channel. Leave a comment. My people are like a real loyal folks. My family. I gotta fix my chair. You know it's live when the person's chair. It's because you know how the chair is. It's like this underneath, and I've got a bar that runs under my desk, and I can't have it like that. Never mind. It's got to be like that. Okay, you guys. I don't know. Some of y'all think that her dad wrote that, huh? Could be. It could be her. But it says it's her. Now, I want to get into this because this is a big problem. This is a huge problem. So Donnell, the daddy of Sarah Grace, here they are together, right? Let me get that off his head. And it says, this is a news article, right, where he was interviewed. And Donnell said he received a call from Sarah Grace at around 7:30 a.m. on February 20th, which is the day of the double homicide. Well, it would have happened the night before, but they're finding him in the morning. Usually, my daughter called me or texted me around 7:30 in the morning, and she would tell me to have a good day, Donnell said. He said the call dropped, and he thought it was just a butt dial, so he continued to get ready for work. About that time, I started to get in my car. I received another call, Donnell says. He said the call was from an ambulance, and he was asked to pick up his daughter. Quote, I asked them, why? What's going on? And they said, Kristin and James were deceased. Donnell said, instantly I went into shock. I didn't know what was going on. He said he did not find out until later that Kristin and James were both suffering from apparent pew-pew shot wounds. Quote, as I was on the way there, I instantly thought, oh my God, did they get a hold of some fentanyl or something like that? Because I knew they were, into prescriptions and stuff like that, Donnell said. Now, I'm going to stop right there. I am going to tell you this. You're going to find out that he's not wrong. They have charges in their past of paraphernalia and other drug-related info. And some other very concerning things. So he found this out, and then he thought, because I knew they were, into prescriptions and stuff like that, Donnell said. Donnell met his daughter at the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. We told them everything we knew, Donnell said. Now I want you to read this little part. Okay. Make sure you can see it. We'll put it down here. Donnell said, this is so important. Donnell said he was asked by an officer if he would like to take a break at one point during the interview. Quote, and this is early on. This is like just the same week, right? By the time I came back in, they had her in a room interrogating her without my permission, by the way. She was 16 years old at the time, he said. Okay? That's a big, big, big problem. That's huge. Because they later, 4 months later, arrest this girl and charge her with the homicides. So she had no legal representation, nor as a minor did she have a parent with her. That's how Brendan Dassey of the Teresa Halbach, Steve Avery case at 16 was pulled during school. They actually pulled shit with that case and sent the mother on a goose chase to the wrong county, to that sheriff department, so that they could question Brendan Dassey at the school with no parents' permission. And at the end of that, they arrested him right then and there. He thought he was going back to science class because he was a 16-year-old with an IQ of only 70 in special ed. And they arrested him because he had nobody there for him to understand what was going on. So when I read this kind of thing, that she was questioned without a parent and no legal representation, and then later arrested, that to me, it needs to be seriously looked at. Viv says maybe the rugs are the reason he needs a transplant, Jenny. Right? Big no-no. Right, Carla? Yep. It's not legal, Prime. It's not legal, but they still did it. So I think this case has got a lot of things where anytime you get cops making their own laws, are they just wanting to wrap the case up? They don't want to follow the law. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the investigation properly. Then it leaves us all questioning what's really going on. Ocean Deep, thank you for the $4.99 snooper chat. You said we love you so much. You ooze loveliness, and you have a massive caring heart. You're amazing, Mama D. Oh, I love you, Ocean Deep. You're so beautiful. Thank you, sweetheart. Laura says, when my 16-year-old son had threats from other peers, I had to be present for the police to even talk to him. I would have hit the roof if they had spoken to him without me. Exactly. So when I say I deep dive, I'm going to give you all of it. All of it. And that's a big, big problem for me, is when they're interviewing minors without legal representation or parent permission or a parent even there. It's just wild. All right. We're about to go through 4 months of silence is basically what happened with a lot of rumors on the internet that we avoided. We are going to go right into the part where they explained to Donnell, Sarah's dad, who she's living with at the time, or she's staying with the church family. But he's being very supportive to her. And he is told that they want her to come in and make a witness statement. A witness statement. Which turns into, basically, Sarah having to come in 24 hours later because there was a warrant for her arrest. All right? So we're going to listen to Donnell, the dad, talk. And he'll share how this came about. And I want to say a huge shout out to Law Crime on the case, because I got a lot of clips of different interviews that they've done over the time. So be sure and give their channel a huge shout out and check them out.
So the whole process was the day before they brought us in for a witness impact statement is what they were saying. And they were supposed to give property back. When we went in there to allow my daughter to talk, they interrogated her, and we were there for maybe 4 hours or so, and my daughter told them everything that they wanted to know multiple times. At the end of it, they started throwing pictures of her parents at us, her stepdad and her mom, deceased with gunshot wounds, and we...
Okay, hold on. Right there, why did the parent not say, we want a lawyer? Right there. Because, listen, she goes in to make a witness statement, and the investigators, the detectives, have brought her in for this witness statement. But as he said, they are taking evidence of the actual crime scene of her parents who have been brutally taken out, if you will, by gun pew-pew, right? Pew-pew. This is bad. The scene itself, and they're literally throwing them one right after the other in front of this little girl's face. These are her parents. Remember, 4 months has passed. She hasn't even had time to comprehend what has happened, probably. Now, I'm not saying she didn't do it. I'm just trying to take the high road right now and believe she's innocent until I can't any further. I always want to believe they're innocent to start with and then work my way in. So at this point, the dad to me seems very honest about everything. And I've been doing double checking what things he shares. And his story is consistent along everything that I personally have seen. He's saying that there he is with his now 17-year-old, because she had a birthday, and they're throwing these crime scene photos of evidence at her. Right? Time for a lawyer. Like, that's when you lawyer up.
Stopped. As a father, she was considered a minor at the time, so I stopped the interview and
damn right
told them that we were not going to talk no more, and they let us go. I asked them if they were arresting her, and they said no. And about 2 hours later, I guess it was,
2 hours
I
later,
received a call from them saying that I have to turn her in by 10 o'clock in the morning, or else they would send out the U.S. Marshals. So
now, one of the things you need to know is that there's this huge rumor online that Sarah turned herself in as if she was the one saying, yep, I did it. And that is false. 1,000% factually false. I actually will show you where the law enforcement are confirming that there was a statement told to her father. You either have Sarah back here at 10 o'clock a.m. because there are warrants for her arrest, or we will send out U.S. Marshals. Why? Because Sarah went to Alabama that night. So she didn't stay put into Georgia. They left there, and she left Georgia and went to Alabama. Now, she came back, no problem, right? Family member went and got her and brought her back, and she turned herself in because they had a warrant for her arrest, and she was told, if you don't, we will have the marshals, the United States Marshals, come and get you. It's in your very best interest to get your little hiney down here to the station. So that's really important for us to know, because you get people like this, which I left her name off the channel because I feel this just shows ignorance. And this is, I'm not trying to destroy her channel, but I'm going to prove to you how wild this story has gotten. Now, I just told you that Sarah did not confess to the crime at all. Sarah turned herself in, according to law officials, because they were coming after her as the U.S. Marshals, okay?
Let me tell you about the girl.
Let me see if I can even make her loud enough for you to hear.
Her parents. And then got on TikTok trying to find her killer.
Yeah, you might not be able to hear.
Sarah Grace Patrick.
She is basically saying that makes her basically guilty because she turned herself in. And why would you turn yourself in if you weren't guilty? Because her parents.
And Sarah had a...
This is a little TikToker that likes to put makeup on but not do research and come out here and be very holier than thou and make all those little oh my God moments and not do a lick of research. And therefore this is where we get problems in true crime, is because people like this don't know what they're talking about.
She was posting just, pictures and videos of her crying about how much she missed her mom. And
I can't. I don't know if you can hear. I'm probably talked over her the whole time. I don't even care. Here's the real deal. Let's listen to this.
She turned herself in because we notified her she had warrants for her arrest. And
let's listen to that one more time.
She turned herself in because we notified her she had warrants for her arrest. And
one more time.
She turned herself in because we notified her she had warrants for her arrest.
Okay. Did anybody hear the words? Did anybody hear that she turned herself in? Because that's real important. Aw, I love you, Jennyville. We'll see you again soon, love. They really should look at the bigger picture. Oh, nobody cares. We love you. Thank you for joining us again. Hi, Sarah Lowe. Podcast Queen, welcome back, my love. Still got a feeling it's her in your opinion, and you may still, after we're done, there's a lot of back and forths here. And yes, you should not listen to the TikTokers. I'm just saying, look at this girl. Look at her. Stop! Right? And I'm all like, oh, Lord. Okay. So, her eyes have gone dark in your opinion? Just check on the congestive heart failure and having some dull chest pains. Oh, we pray for your dad, hon. Calissa Katz, hello, lovely. Good to see you. All right. Here's the actual announcement back in July that there's an arrest made.
A 17-year-old is now charged with murdering her mother and stepfather in Carrollton. Investigators say Sarah Grace Patrick is the one who killed James and Kristin Brock in their home in February. Channel 2's Candace McCowan is outside the jail where the teen who is being charged as an adult is being held now. Candace?
Yeah, and Wendy, this is tragic no matter how you look at it. From the couple's 5-year-old daughter who is said to have found their bodies to the 7 children that the couple had between the two of them and their combined family. Now those 7 children, each without one of their parents. And one of those children is now behind bars here at the Carroll County Jail, charged with the murders.
The beginning of any case, everyone's a suspect. From the very moment the 911 call was received, a relentless investigation began.
And it is the person who called 911 who is now charged with the shooting deaths of James and Kristin Brock in their home on Carrollton Tyus Road in February. 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick is now charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault in connection with the deaths of her mother and stepfather.
She turned herself in because we notified her she had warrants for her arrest.
Investigators say the evidence led them to charging the teen, including the speech of Sarah speaking at her mother and stepfather's funeral that's posted on Facebook.
Although there's nothing we can do to bring them back, we still have control over how we treat people.
And they say it's part of her covering up what happened.
Considering that she didn't just immediately tell us what happened, yes. But who knows what's going on in a young person's mind like that.
And while there's been a more than 4.5-month wait for an arrest, investigators say it took time to build the case.
Don't you want the right person arrested? So that's why it takes so long. These diligent investigators took their time. We've got the person that we believe orchestrated this and committed this horrific crime.
And I asked investigators today if there had been any prior calls with law enforcement to that house between the teen and her mother and stepfather. They said that there had not been any.
Ocean Deep, is there something going on I can't see? I don't even see a troll, love. Did you mean to post that? Hi, Calissa Katz. It looks like everybody's being very respectful and loving. Hi, Sarah Lowe. We get a lot of beautiful energies in our chat. So you guys, they arrested her. Now let's see. Let's get into this real quick. I just want to, like I said, you know, there's a lot that's now you're going to look at some considerable evidence. And I don't know. You let me know. I am self-sponsoring, you guys. I do self-sponsor. So I want you to know, if you check out here, we've got our True Crime Tarot class starting. It starts on the 9th of this month. So if you add our year up, 2025, you get 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5. It's a 9. The month is 9. The day is 9. The year is a 9. 999. So if you're into true crime and you really want to get to know some answers and see if your hunches are right, you can definitely join us. Beginners are very welcome. We're going to be doing our True Crime Tarot class. Now you can sign up now. It's a one-time-a-month fee of $9.99. $9.99. We meet once weekly. And you can see how to do it here. Let me get you back over here. You can see how to do it right here. Let me move this forward. Where's our little arrows? Oh, I've screwed it all up, you guys. Good thing we're live. Okay, right here you can see, if you click the join button, down here is the True Crime Tarot class. right down there for you. And if you already are a member and you're a Starlight World, right? Part of the Starlight World, look over here. You see this upgrade button here? That's how you can upgrade, and you'll basically choose the True Crime Tarot Class $9.99. You're in like Flynn. Now, what's really cool about this class is, well, first off, it's going to be starting very soon, in less than a week, is that you're going to get a weekly True Crime live tarot class. You're also going to get live member chat, right? As well as you'll have access to every video library lesson there is. Full access to the lessons, all in the library. And we also have a new True Crime Tarot group Facebook chat that is private, and you'll have the link. So make sure if you choose to go to that link, that level, and you want to do the class, that you scroll down to all the perks, because at the bottom it gives you the link that'll get you into our private True Crime Tarot chat group, which means 24/7 chat with someone. I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people in there. So that's exciting, and we're going to be giving it a big shout out for the next week here. And once it gets started, boy, I'm tearing the place apart, aren't I? Once it gets started, then we'll only advertise probably once a week. But for $9.99 a month, and you get to learn a lot more than just tarot. You learn a lot about understanding how to break a case down, right? And then we are going to be doing a reading tomorrow over on Crime Story Mama. If I could ask one of y'all to share the link, I would greatly appreciate it. And that would be Crime Story Mama. And we're going to do a Sebastian Rogers reading. I feel it in my heart. He's calling to me. He is now a 16-year-old. He was only 15 when he went missing from Hendersonville, Tennessee. And so I will be pulling cards tomorrow, Friday, for him, and I hope you'll join us over there for that. And then on Sunday, we're going to be painting for the Voiceless fundraiser. Now, we have already raised almost, we are at like $3,900, almost $4,000, almost, for the National Center of Missing Exploited Children. And we do a fundraiser every Sunday, and that is over on Crime Story Mama. And basically, I do a painting, which Sebastian's came out mind-blowing. Let me just tell you, I think it's the most beautiful piece. I say that a lot when I do these pieces, but this piece is striking, and I'm talking about depth as if 3D on top of 3D. It is vibrant, and it is green, because green is favorite color. So I'm going to be sharing that painting with you, and the highest bidder, their bid that purchases the painting, which it'll ship for free, that bid will be given to the 100% of it will be given to the National Center for Missing Exploited Children, which our goal is $5,000 for the year, and we're close. We're already close. So that is absolutely my own sponsorship. Now, let's get back into Sarah. Listen to this. These are the things that kind of make you go, is she guilty? Did she do it?
Evidence. I mean, you talk about the gun.
Oh, wait. Let me tell you. This gentleman is actually Sarah Grace's grandfather on her paternal side. No. I don't know. I think it's the paternal side. I don't know. I just know it's her grandfather. I don't know if it's the mother's dad or her father's dad, but it's her grandfather.
Residue, and I know they had like
law and crime on the
I
case.
remember,
Good job.
The line that everybody keeps coming back to from that news conference was they had a quote mountain of evidence against Sarah Grace Patrick, and they have kept a lot tight to the vest. It seems to anybody that they've spoken to. Is there any, like, from what you've seen, I mean, what makes up that like what they think they have? Like, what makes up the mountain of evidence?
Well, of course, I haven't seen it, so I don't know for sure. But what I've summarized from what people have told me is that their digital evidence was searches that Sarah had done on her phone having to do with murdering your parents. Okay, they claim that she did some internet searches for how to commit murder or something of that nature. But she didn't realize it was gunfire that woke her up, and I think you can understand that.
What? How'd he skirt past that? He went right into a completely different topic. Back the heck up. Is Grandpa saying that the digital blueprint of Sarah Grace is that she literally Googled how to red rum your parents? How to commit murder? When was that? Did that really happen? Was that really her blueprint? Or do we have some corrupt cops, like in the Karen Reed case? Something's going on here, y'all. That is disturbing. But then Grandpa goes from saying that Sarah committed these searches to saying, but she didn't hear the gunfire, y'all. That's understandable. No, that had nothing to do. What? What does not hearing the gunfire have anything to do with literally typing in how to, your parents? What? He didn't do her any favors. So now there's more to this story. Get ready, because you're about to learn more of evidence found not just in the house, but in Sarah Grace's closet, her own bedroom closet.
Sure. But they did gun residue tests against her on her immediately the next day, or the morning after the shooting, and they all came back negative.
Okay, let's listen to that again. They tested Sarah's hands and her clothing in for gunpowder residue for blowback, right, from using a weapon. Her clothes and herself were tested the following day after the crime, and they both came back negative. Now, she wouldn't have been able to wash her clothes. Those would have been taken. So it wouldn't matter when they test those. It's either there or it isn't. But she could have washed her hands or something, perhaps. I'm not sure how that works. But it all came back negative for gunpowder. So there was no gun residue on her hands at all, or her clothing. That tests back negative. Okay? Sarah Hun, I don't have any outstanding tarot decks, so definitely email me, and we'll help you out and see if your order came through to me, or if we can track your deck if it's still in the mail. But everything got shipped out. Though I will say, I just shipped out about 8 decks yesterday because I was ill, so that was a little slow. But otherwise, it's always on time. Pride and Candy says, can anything he said even be used against him legally? Surely any defense lawyer can go before a judge and have this thrown out like inadmissible. Who's him? I'm confused. Nobody cares says, the problem with liars, they trip themselves up. In my opinion, liars should be held accountable too, as too many people suffer unnecessarily. Ocean Deep says that's why she wanted to go back in, not for the Bible, whatever is in the closet. Ooh. Zoe is all very confusing and very contradictory. Yeah. It's very contradictory. They are worrying, if that's true, if the cops are being honest. But then again, we heard about all kinds of lies about Brian Kohlberger from the cops that weren't true. You know, now that it's all coming out. So, yeah, they found a glove with residue in her closet. Gun residue. But yet, she tests negative to gun residue.
And I know they did her clothing, and it came back negative. So, again, this 4-month lag of having her arrested and saying they have a mountain of evidence that's digital. It has to do with her internet searches, and as far as I know, that's pretty much it.
But they found like some kind of gun residue on like something she owns?
Yeah, they said they found a glove, some kind of glove that had a little bit of gun residue on it, hidden in her closet. I don't know much about that, what type of glove or anything else. I mean, that's about it. Again, that was something that was found early on, because they, like I said, they tore the house up, and they found that in their search of the house. And you would think that if that was enough of incriminating evidence, they would have arrested her at that time. Yeah, I think the timing of the arrest says a whole lot to what they have, or what they don't have. But
They do have a great deal of pressure to get this case wrapped up and solved. But there's a glove that has gun residue or blowback, gunpowder residue on it, found allegedly in Sarah's closet. However, how many people had access to the house before it was found? Was family in there and so forth? It could be a setup. We're going to find out. We're going to keep going. So this is a relative. It is a niece of the stepdad. Now, I already got a problem with her. And that is that she outright explains, she tells you, she's about to tell you later on, that her mother, the grandmother, or the mother, I should say, of James, the stepdad, is telling Sarah Grace, you need to get online. You need to get some of these sleuths to work on this. You need eyes on this case. We need help. Yet, that is what Sarah did. She went out there and she asked the internet sleuths for help, and it backfires. And this BIT-ish comes back and uses it against Sarah. So she's the one that said she was suspicious of Sarah from the very beginning. That, to me, is a setup. That is bullcrap. And the niece of James is who she is. She barely even knew Sarah. She barely even knew what went on in that house. And she's out here running her mouth like she knows the whole show. So, no, I do not appreciate knowing the facts that she's the one telling us that Sarah is being prompted by her family to do more. If Sarah, if you care, you have to do something. Use the internet. Get people to help you. We need help to solve this case. Sarah goes and does it. Then they point fingers at Sarah saying, Look at what she did. She tried to get true crimers to help with the case. That's suspicious. That's hypocritical. That's hypocritical, truly. But she does have a valid point here in that how did Sarah Grace not hear four gunshots in that tiny little house with her room in the same area as her mom and dad's? Sarah says she was asleep and the TV was on really loud. I don't know, y'all. I'll let you be the judge. Here's what the niece has to say.
Niece, thank you for joining us on Law and Crime. I know it's been a lot over the past several months, but especially in the past week or so. What was your reaction when Sarah Grace was arrested?
I can't say I was totally shocked. We had suspicions of her, but I guess overall I felt relieved that hopefully, we're going to get justice in this case. The investigators have done so much work over these 5 months. I'm confident that they've gone through everything and to get this arrest, I don't think it's to get 4 warrants too being for murder, makes me feel like they have enough, to have made this arrest for a judge to have signed off on it. So I'm confident we'll get justice in this case now.
And you believe that she is the person responsible for the murders of Jamie and Kristin?
I do.
Was there a moment over the past several months where you kind of reached a point in your head where you felt like she would be the person responsible?
It's
Every time I got to do this. So I was explaining how, sorry, I'm muted. My son upstairs can't hear me. I could yell at the top of my lungs to come down for supper. He can't hear me because he's got headphones on or his TV is too loud. They just don't hear me. But I have to go up there and tell him supper's ready. So with that being said, I kind of wonder how can they use this. She didn't hear the gunshots, doesn't make her a red rummer, right? But at the same time, it's got 4 red flags up because the little 5-year-old who then turned 6, she heard it. So this has got me pondering it. This has got me pondering. No, it's me. It's always me. I'm always the one I'm quiet. Podcast queen. Yay, we back. Right. I mean, I could scream at the top of my lungs, supper's ready. Right? It could be like this. No. Nothing. I could be red rummed and he would never hear it upstairs. I'm just saying. You totally get it, Linda Beatty. That's right. You have 5 sons. You understand. It's crazy, but it's true. So I can't 100% be like, well, she didn't hear the shots, then she did it. If you don't hear the shots, then you did it. Nope, I can't. Were found. It all was negative. So I have a problem with that. But it, I think this is going to make a lot more sense. Now we're going to get into a little bit more about the family. Okay? Let's look at the Brocks. Now, Kristin and James, the mother and stepfather, they did have a history. Listen to this.
About the past of James and Kristin Brock. And it's difficult because they're not here to talk about their pasts. But we did pull their records, and this is what those records show. We saw for James, there was a 2017 arrest related to drug possession, and he was given probation for that. He was also found guilty related to a 2018 arrest for possession of methamphetamine and marijuana, theft by receiving, and obstruction of a police officer. Kristin's record shows an arrest on the same day, April 29th, 2018, as James for meth possession and theft by receiving, which she was not prosecuted for. She was sentenced to drug programs for marijuana possession and possession of a drug object that was related to the 2018 arrest. We did find in 2022, James filed a temporary protective order against Kristin, accusing her of domestic abuse.
Hold the phone. So in this case, Kristin had a case filed against her by James temporarily alleging DV. Okay, so now we're kind of starting to understand that mom could be aggressive.
That was then withdrawn later that year. We found in 2022, Kristin Brock was arrested. She was charged with first-degree criminal damage to property plus felony and misdemeanor cruelty to children charges. That case.
What? Listen again. Mom, this is on Kristin.
Later that year. We found in 2022, Kristin Brock was arrested. She was charged with first-degree criminal damage to property plus felony and misdemeanor cruelty to children charges. That.
Okay. Did you hear that? So she got in trouble for property damage and cruelty to children and felony charges. So, you know, I'm not trying to throw shade on somebody that passed away, but let's keep it real. We ain't got no Betty, you know, Fudge Crocker in the kitchen here always. This isn't a perfect mother. There looks to me like she has violent tendencies. She's got cruelty to children charges, felony, DV charges that finally get dropped later that year, so forth, plus drug charges. So, you know, this isn't the perfect home. And that's right, cruelty to children charges, the mom. That's something to really keep in mind. If we're really going to get to the bottom of this case, we have to understand it all. And we can't put on rosy glasses and go, okay, so we have 2 victims, that's all you need to know about that. No. If there is anybody that's, you know, got reasons, or if they're such wonderful people with no enemies, right? Then why are they a double homicide, right? Maybe something happened to her when little, right? How old are the kids? So Sarah was 16 and she was in the house with her 5-year-old little sister. Now they're 6 and 17. Right. For years. Many years. Okay, let's continue. Let's go back and listen to this one more time.
Drug object that was related to the 2018 arrest. We did find in 2022, James filed a temporary protective order against Kristin, accusing her of domestic abuse. That was then withdrawn later that year. We found in 2022, Kristin Brock was arrested. She was charged with first-degree criminal damage to property plus felony and misdemeanor cruelty to children charges.
You think
that
so,
case,
Linda?
according to online court records, was still active at the time of her death. Yesterday, during the bond hearing, James's sister, Kimberly Bowling, gave very emotional testimony, and she said that the Brocks had turned their lives around. They were born-again Christians, and we haven't found any criminal charges for the 2 of them since 2022. It's unclear who else detectives investigated related to the Brocks murders over the 4 months that this case was unsolved.
All right. Now I have something that I grabbed, and I debated on whether to show it, but it is telling of a story. I don't know what this is about. This is a video that Sarah Grace recorded of her mother when her mother was alive. And it is disturbing, and I wanted to share it with you. And I'm going to ask you a question. Who do you think this mother is trying to grab? Pay attention.
About the past of James and Kristin Brock. And it's difficult.
Whoops. Try this one. All right, here we go.
Are you fucking serious?
Look at the mother.
Are you fucking serious?
Why didn't she go around the side of the vehicle and talk to the girl? Why is she reaching past the driver?
Are you fucking serious?
I'm just saying, this isn't the perfect household. Right? Aw, Prime Candy, I'm so happy to be back. Aw, thank you. YouTube isn't the same. Well, my life isn't the same without y'all, that's for sure. Ocean Deep is just a firm believer she did it. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and continue. I find that very, very disturbing. Now, there's nothing that is more critical in this case than what I am about to share with you, that in a sense makes it very clear there was something far more sinister going on here that did not involve Sarah Grace and these parents. In other words, we have a third party that pulls a gun the week before on them in their own home. You heard me right. Let me make this clear. An individual allegedly pulled a gun on Kristin and James Brock in their own home in front of Sarah Grace's brother. And the brother told Donnell about it, the father, right away. The person that pulled the gun told the child, the brother, to take a walk. Okay? That's huge. Because where did Sarah get a gun? Right? But this person came with a gun to the home. That man's a third party. The week before, this couple is red-rummed with a gun. This person entered the home bringing their own weapon. Remember, a gun is not ever found at the crime scene. This person allegedly entered the home and pulled a gun out and pointed it at both Kristin and James Brock and told their child, the son, to leave and take a walk. Go walk the dog. Okay, here you go. Listen.
Are you fucking serious?
Again, law crime on the case.
And it went off.
What theories, when you were, I don't know how often you would talk about that night with your daughter, but I guess when you'd get to that point where you'd speculate about what may have happened, what does Sarah think happened that night?
I don't like to talk bad about them and their deaths and stuff like that, because I know that families are hurting and stuff like that, but Sarah knows more than most people knows. And the only thing that she could think of was there was drug deals go wrong. They ripped somebody off a couple months before that, and Sarah thought that it could be that person. And I'm not, when I say drugs, I'm not talking about the hardcore drugs or anything like that. From what I understand, it was over weed or something like that, but a substantial amount. And that's what and she was telling the investigators that the whole time. And when we talked to the investigators, they said that they had already, talked to them and said that they counted them out. So, there was a incident that happened right before Valentine's. My son told me about, because when the detective came to my mom's house where I was staying, he started asking about certain people, and there was a friend of theirs that actually pulled a gun on them right before Valentine's Day.
A friend of theirs that pulled a gun on them right before Valentine's Day.
And my son witnessed it.
And his son witnessed it.
You know, I can't say his name or anything like that, but you know, that's my son, and he's not just gonna make stuff up like that. You know, my son was with me at the time of everything. He was actually on winter break, so I had my son for that entire week. But when it all happened, my son, you know, he brought that up to us, that the family friend that had pulled a gun on James in the kitchen, and they asked him to leave and make him go walk the dogs.
Since you
go walk the dogs. That blows my mind. All right. Now, knowing that it's being alleged that there was a friend of theirs in their home the week before the double homicide that pulled a gun, in other words, brought a gun to the property, right? Allegedly pulled a gun on them and told the brother to go walk the dogs. Yet police drop that as if it doesn't matter. I want to know the name. I want to know how he's connected. I want to know what's going on. Sometimes they'll protect their own police informants. Exactly, Rach. Thank you for staying on task. So that's only a week before the red rums. Exactly. I really appreciate it when you guys are interacting with me on the live. Otherwise, I can just do a recording if you want, you know, and let you guys talk in the comments. Right, Zoe, has the gun guy been questioned? Allegedly, the police dismissed it. That blows my mind. Now, let's talk about forced entry. The police are also, from the very get-go, have stated over and over that there was absolutely no forced entry in the home. And that made whoever did this somebody from inside the home. However, I don't think that's true. And I'm going to show you why. Listen to this.
Shared this with you, but they made the statement even in the initial press conference about no sign of forced entry. I know when I went to when they released the house to me.
Me too, Maura.
And I was trying to secure the house. And well, let me back up a little bit. Sarah did tell the investigators that when she went into the room initially, she said the room was ice cold.
Okay, let's go back up here. That would be a weird detail. Because if you were guilty and you're only 16 and you wanted to look like something, you might have said the back door was open. But if you didn't realize that the back door was open because you're innocent, you might say it felt really cold. It was ice cold in there. When I came out of my room, it was ice cold. So for me, that leads me to believe more to the innocent side because of this idea of what he's about to show you. This cannot be denied. Look at this.
And this was, of course, in February. It was cold. And she realized it was cold because the back door was open. There was a back door that they had attached to their bedroom. Right off their bedroom was a little porch. And this door opened up into that porch. And Sarah told them that door, she found that door open. And they said there was no sign of forced entry. When I went to secure the house, the lock on that door was broken. And I didn't really think a whole lot of it at the time. And DJ took a picture of that back door and that lock the day that we had access to the house. And I have it right here.
Look.
And I don't know if you can see this or not, but directly right here, right there, see this mark right here? That's a crowbar mark.
I can promise you that's a crowbar mark. Really, really, really. My house, I have the same exact back door. And one time I came home and my house had been broke into with a crowbar. And that is exactly what my door looks like. Now, I'm going to tell you, these are metal doors. And the paint has been scruffed off. And that is brand new, fresh metal being exposed. That is not old. That is new. So that's how you know that's a fresh mark on that door. Now he's going to go on to tell you that that is not the original doorknob, that the doorknob itself, the lock, was completely twisted and mangled and broken, that is a new replaced lock so that he could shut the door. So not only had the back door been used as a crowbar on it, and that the handle had been twisted and mangled and the lock no longer worked, but that is why Sarah was saying it was ice cold, because it was February and it was cold because the back door was wide open. If she was guilty, why didn't she just say, well, the back door was open? Okay? And they never found tools that suggested that she did anything to the door. There was no crowbar and all this and then all that. Fair play to you, nobody. Good vibes only. We love you. That's right. The lock is broken, and you can see right here, this scruffing right here. And you can see where the crowbar is used and wrenched in this swinging motion right here across the door. I can vouch that that is exactly what my door looks like. Pried open. Right, Prime Candy? Prime Candy says, definitely a crowbar mark. Someone tried to break into my old house and they used a crowbar. I know. Hey, Tammy Cruz, good to see you, love. Good to see you. Prime Candy says, I just got home from the hospital after my firstborn saw the door, went straight to my mom's, called the police, and never went back. I feel you. That's a very, very, very scary. It does sound like a lot like the Idaho 4 case. All right. So take a good look at that, y'all.
There's clearly signs of forced entry. Now, the other thing that surprises me...
They do have pictures of the lock broken.
The police, of course, they should have dusted everything for prints.
Yeah.
And I know from past experience, if they dust for prints, it leaves
a black powder.
Mess. They use a black dust. There was none of this on this door. So they didn't even dust this door for prints, which I think is the most obvious sign of forced entry I have ever seen. If you can see that.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That mark.
Yeah, I see that. That mark there on the door.
Okay, y'all. Maura Davis says, and yet the police say there was no signs of forced entry. Something's fishy with these cops. Want to close the case ASAP, regardless of whether they get the right or the wrong person. Listen, y'all. Is it possible that the dude that pulled a GU in on Kristin and James the week before did it, but he's got some sort of in with the cops?
This lock right here was broken. Like someone took it and gave it maybe a wrench and twisted it.
Well, OD, I will tell you this much. You got to remember, we're looking at the evidence of a break-in. There's no sign that they tested for fingerprints at all. And we have allegedly eyewitness account of a human being inside the home that brought a gun into the home of Kristin and James, allegedly, right? Brought in a gun, pulled the gun on them in front of the witness, told the witness, time to go walk the dogs. Somebody had some words. Now, if that theory I suggested is that we have a patsy rather than an actual suspect, then the cops are going to say all kinds of crap in front of a trial. They won't be able to say she searched all that crap in trial if she didn't, but they can sure get ahead of it to poison the jury pool and get the mainstream media against this girl by hinting at it through third party. They never said it themselves, right? You never hear the cops come out and say, well, you should see Sarah's searches prior to the homicides of her parents. That is not what they say. It's the grandfather that's being told this crap. And I want to remind you, these are the same interrogators that questioned a 16-year-old without the presence of a legal representation, without the permission of a parent, without a parent even there. So they done broke the rules. It is encouraged for police to lie, okay, in cases. We've all seen it. To protect the integrity of the case, they are to lie. So if they can convince Sarah's only support team and they're honest and they're going to say what they're told, it still doesn't make it true. So we have to be very, very careful and not just going with what the police are telling the families to believe. All right?
And because the insides were all twisted up inside. I had to replace that lock. That's a replacement lock that I put on there to secure the house. And like I said, I hadn't thought twice, but DJ saw this and took this picture of that door. So,
Obviously,
I don't know.
Some sort of forced entry.
The investigators, how good a job they did.
We don't know a potential motive in this case. I did ask Dennis about something that prosecutors brought up multiple times at the bond hearing. There were questions about whether Sarah Grace Patrick went to an alternative high school. I know during the hearing, the prosecutors, like a couple of times they asked some of the defense's witnesses about an alternative school that Sarah Grace Patrick went to. I know the first time we spoke, you didn't know of any like mental health issues that she had, you told me. What is this alternative school that they were asking about?
Well, I know the last one she was in, I did know about, and the school expelled her. And when the school expels somebody here, they make them go to this alternative school to finish out their school.
That's a red flag. Why would Sarah Grace have been expelled from school? Did she miss too many days? Is that all? Was there other reason? We need to know more. Why would Sarah Grace have been expelled from school? However, you're going to hear when she goes to the alternative school, she buckles down real quick and gets out of there early, graduates early. They're in good standing. Now, if she's like my oldest, it was because of lack of attendance. They told him, if you don't come to school this week, we're going to expel you. And they did, because I couldn't make him go. He would not go. And he ended up in alternative school, and he graduated with honors because he had to buckle down and get up for school. It became more of a, you got to do this. If you want it, we're not going to do it for you kind of situation. He's not a murderer. Didn't make her one either, but we do need to understand more. Why would she have been expelled and then went to the alternative school? Is it just simply because she missed too much days? Her attendance was off the chart poor? I don't know. But, this guy is the grandfather of Grace. The grandfather of Grace. The grandfather of Grace. So that's interesting.
And I know she was going to that alternative school, and she was doing quite well.
We haven't had a trial yet, Linda. We have no trial. That'll be in January of 2026. We're just trying to understand the case so that when trial does come, we're able to understand what's going on and let you form your own decision on whether you feel that she did this, or is there enough evidence that make you question, are these corrupt police that are trying to pin it on a 17-year-old girl? I mean, it's happened before. Look at Brendan Dassey in Wisconsin, 16-year-old, questioned without legal representation, questioned without parents' permission, and allegedly confessed to the whole crime, right? Even though if you listen to the taped confession, they're saying, no, Brendan, that's not what happened. The interrogators yell and say, you shot her in the head. She was shot in the head. How can you not know that? And he said, oh, she was shot in the head. They're like, got it, that's a wrap. He's like, can I go back to science class? They're like, no. You're going to be locked up for life now, Brendan. And then his mom shows up. Well, I was sent to the wrong precinct. Oh, what do you mean you already questioned him? See? So I worry about cases like that, which happened in Wisconsin. Yeah, we're in Georgia now with Sarah Grace, but they started this entire thing off with waiting, literally saying to the dad, hey, you want to take a break? While dad's on break, they grab Sarah and get her into an interrogation room without legal representation, without a parent, without permission. It's totally illegal. So if they're doing illegal things in the get-go, such as not looking at the back door, which is obviously showing signs of forced entry, there's no black dust on it, so they didn't do fingerprints. We have a problem. And I'm not going to just go on and believe that this girl was searching how to kill my parents right before this, when the gun, the smoking gun, is still not found. How did Sarah get a gun? Where did Sarah get the gun from? Where did the gun go? The child can't drive. The vehicles haven't been moved. What'd she do with that? How did she do this and not get any gunpowder on herself or her clothes? See what I'm saying? There's too many problems here. And I'm not going to have them throw some young girl under the bus because they want a patsy. We've got the whole, allegedly somebody was in their house that brought a gun into the home a week before on Valentine's Day or around there, pulled the gun on Kristin and James and told the son to take a walk. That had nothing to do with Sarah. We have a mother that's got charges, that had charges, she passed away now, from all kinds of violency things. Now, we've also, if you listen, the parents allegedly reported that they stole something from someone weeks and weeks before. So if you take that scenario where the family's saying, yeah, the kids are saying mom and dad took something from someone. Now fast forward to Valentine's Day. Was that person saying, I got a pew-pew, give me back what you took. You stole from me. You ripped me off. You've got 1 week to produce it, and if you don't, I'm going to take your lives. We don't know. But I sure am not going to get on the bus and run over this 17-year-old little girl until they got something more solid than, oh, we found a glove in her closet. That guy, right, may have actually planted the glove in some way. Or maybe this was planned. Maybe this was planned way ahead and Sarah had somebody with her to do the crime. Maybe they pulled the trigger. I don't know. But I feel like we need to come at it with more of an open mind and not just assume that because the social media out there is pulling one of these. Let me go back and remind you, this girl, let me pull it in the front, right? She's pulling a stop. Oh my God. How could it not be Sarah Grace? She turned herself in for the crime. Oh my God. Who can't do the math? Because you know she wouldn't turn herself in if she didn't. Her family. All right. So if you're going to be one of those that is just going to go with that, then you're in the wrong channel. Because what we do here is we deep dive. We want to know it all. Sarah could be very, very guilty. But then again, she could be innocent. And until her crime is known in a court of law and a jury has a chance, I think we should leave it open to understand more and more and more until we can discern for our very own self. Not listen to some little teeny bopper that wants to put on makeup and get some clicks and views. But somebody that wants to truly find out if this girl needs support. Because right now, she's got a small support group. That's it. Now, I'm not saying I'm ready to get on the, get my t-shirt, Sarah is innocent group. I'm not saying that. But I'm certainly not going to be like, well, throw her down the river next case. I want to understand this more. Yes, I do feel a lot better, Dark Angel. Thank you. You're listening, Linda? Laura says, okay, I shall not write what I was going to say. Thanks, ladies. Don't want to get her in trouble. I don't know who you're getting in trouble. Linda says, I hope she has a good lawyer to get this thrown out. Again, I think she was set up. And you might be right. You could be right. I don't know. When you see her social media, you might change your mind. She's either a very over-dramatic teenager, which could be, right? Maybe she's just over-dramatic, or perhaps there's way, way more to it. Let's get back over here. We've listened about the 4th century and that they did not do any fingerprint, right? Let's go back to the niece of the stepfather who truly believes that Grace is guilty. And this was her take on the funeral, the eulogy. Now, Sarah gave a eulogy where she thanked a bunch of people for supporting her. I don't know why that's weird. I've thanked family and stuff for being supportive during a hard time in my life at a eulogy, so I'm not sure. They must do things differently at this Georgia place. But here you go.
There's been a lot, and I know you were there, the funeral for your uncle and Kristin, and the speech that Sarah gave, this eulogy.
Jamie and Mama would have thanked y'all too. I love you guys, and so do I, and so do they. I'm sorry.
What was going through your mind? Not only because I know you're there mourning the loss of your uncle and his wife, but what was going through your mind as you watched that speech?
It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. I had my best friend with me, and we were just staring at each other the entire time. What is this voice that she's doing? That it sounds like crying. Sure, if you heard of an audio of it, sure, she's crying. But being front row at that funeral, she never shed a tear. She didn't stop. She didn't think about what she was saying. It was a scripted speech. I wouldn't call it a eulogy like people are calling it. It was a speech where she did shout outs at the end of it.
I want to thank my family, also known as my Cata fam, my grandparents, my siblings, Jaylee, Johnny, Jaden, Jojo, Trent, Tristan, Ashley, and Jesse for helping me get through my worst nightmare. And last but not least, I want to thank Tasha, Bree, Nate, Lane, Kimberly Hayes, Kim Bowling, Katie, and most of all, my father, Angie, and Ben for making such a big difference.
She shout out probably 15 names at the end.
At the time, and I know it's been brought up now, but she said sorry. At the time, did that send off a red flag for you?
It did, but what was even worse was afterwards when she went person to person in our family and said sorry. What's worse than that is that for 5 months straight, she contacted my mom several times a week and said that she was sorry. And her exact words, sorry that Mr. James is dead. Sorry that you don't have Mr. James. Sorry that your brother died. I mean, it went on and on and on.
She called him Mr. James?
Apparently.
This woman doesn't even know. She has no idea. Number one, I want to make it very clear that the father of Sarah Grace said that in the very beginning, she was making contact about once a week to check on the stepdad's family, see how they were doing. But after a short time, they no longer took her calls. They no longer took her calls. That family member is this chick's mother, this niece's mother. So if she's not taking the calls, I think this woman is basically out here because she has some fathomed idea that she's more important in this case than she is, because she doesn't even know what Sarah called James because she isn't part of that family. She's a niece of James. She doesn't even know for sure what the mother knows and what the mother doesn't know, or who talked to who. She's just putting it together, saying apparently well, you could see it. It sounds like she is accepting an award, meaning, Sarah Grace. But at the same time, you have to remember, she's never given a eulogy in her life. It's an awkward time. But yeah, it does sound like she's like Dylan gained $100,000. I don't know how that relates because there's no money, so I'm not sure on that one. But this woman is extremely prejudiced. I don't think I'm stretching it in any imagination against Sarah, and she seems to be apparently stretching the truth quite a bit.
There's been a lot sorry. At the time, did that send off a red flag for you?
Right, they are a bit odd.
But
Prime Candy says, okay, the shout outs are a bit odd. Maybe an overdramatic teen. maybe scared because of what happened, and now she's on the podium in front of everyone. For a teen, probably overwhelming. For anybody, it would be overwhelming. You're giving a eulogy of your parents. So what if you said sorry? Maybe it's because your voice was cracking. Maybe it's because you felt bad for everybody. Like, you feel bad. My son, Quentin, says sorry for everything. Like, you'll be like, oh, I don't feel good. And he'll say, I'm so sorry. Does that make him guilty? No. So, I don't think that a child saying they're sorry implies guilt. I just don't. I know people that, very close friends, and I'll be like, oh, I felt terrible yesterday. I had this happen and this happen. And they'll be like, I'm sorry. And you want to say to them, you don't need to say you're sorry. You didn't have anything to do with it. But that's not what they're saying. They're not taking the blame for it. They're feeling bad for you because they have empathy in what you went through. So you have to remember, there are two kinds of people. There are those that say, I broke your car. I'm sorry, because they're guilty. And there are those that have empathy for another person and they feel bad for them because they know what they're going through. And they'll be like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Is that making someone guilty? I mean, good Lord, so far we have a glove in the closet that has gun residue, yet the child nor her clothes had the residue. We have a break-in in the back door that obviously wasn't fingerprinted, so there was a forced entry into the home. It's a very apparent. We have an alleged intruder that is known to the victims that has brandished a weapon and brought that into the home a week prior with an eyewitness of another youth that was left alive to tell them. So it could be an intruder leaving the two kids alive because they had already come to the home, brandished a gun allegedly, and told that kid to go walk a dog. Does that person have connection to this police department that he is being protected or she is being protected, and so they're throwing the oldest kid under the bus? Dark Angel said with the amount of shout outs, maybe as a young girl, she didn't want to miss anybody out that had given her support. And she's saying, thank you for being there for us, our family. Thank you, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. I mean, I don't see how that can be associated with guilt. Right, Jenny Bell, you'd be overwhelmed, I'm sure. I'm sorry to people for their loss. It doesn't mean I've done anything. I'm just sorry for that person going through whatever is happening to them. And that's what I think she means. And it could be that you had, think of the psychological place. If you had been a child in the home, the parents are killed the night before. Your little sister is the one that checks on them and finds them DEAD. You might psychologically feel a lot of guilt that you weren't the one to find them, that you didn't find them before you went to bed so that you could have called 911 when there might have been a chance to get help. It could be survival guilt, right? Morris says, on the day of my husband's funeral, I had to do a reading, and I was so nervous and worried about speaking in front of people. I knew I had to hold it together until I was finished. Also, Viv says, I couldn't get up and speak publicly at my mother's funeral because of anxiety, and I was 37. Podcast Queen says, I'm genuinely starting to believe perhaps she's covering for her dad. Well, it's possible. I don't think so, but it's possible. Now, you're going to get to see the full drama here. This is what got her in a lot of trouble. It's because of this kind of thing she posted on TikTok. She says, I get to feeling upset. And I think about my mom. I'm the first one in my family to graduate. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with that. Now she's having a little meltdown and she says, I sleep so I can see you. Because I hate to wait so long. Again, I don't find this anything alarming here. Here, this gets a little different. All right, she says, over here on this one, we had matching necklaces that both of us wore every day, all day, before everything happened. I haven't taken mine off. And if it breaks, I'm afraid I may crash out and then get it refurnished. Even if it costs me an arm and a leg, I will love you forever. Fly high, my sweet angel. She goes on to say, her necklace she was wearing, our matching necklace, that she passed in, will be given to my little sister, and I have no idea when or how to tell her the meaning behind it, because she's only 5. She would always try and talk about if something were to happen to her and how it would be, and I would never let her because I never thought she would go first. When I was growing up, we struggled really bad, and she would go without eating just so we could have money to buy food, or for me and my brother, or even when we did, she wouldn't eat any of it. She lived off ramen noodles to support me at her lowest, and I can't thank her because she's gone. When I had to go back to the house, it ruined my mood and made me shake really bad and feel so sick for days. I still talk both to her and James because only they understood the true me. I'll never forget her first time speaking to me, or her last time speaking to me. She came to my room when I was in my bed watching a show, and she told me good night in a deep voice, acting silly. I should have hugged her. And when James came to talk to me last, he told me, I love you, good night, through the door. It tears me apart that I didn't open the door and give him a hug. I can't help but hate myself because I didn't wake up to find them before my 5-year-old sister had to find her parents like that. That's survivor's guilt, in my opinion. She was always misread by people. She was so kind and so loving and was so passionate about what she loved and about God. And it wasn't just a stage in life for her. It was her whole childhood, too. Hardly anyone gave her a chance, but I always wonder what she would have become if she were here to show everyone that she's not what people say she is. Now, that's strange. That's strange. I don't even understand the statement. I don't understand that statement. That's the only one out of all of these so far that bothers me. She always was misread by people. She was so kind and so loving and was so passionate about what she loved and about God. And it wasn't just a stage in her life for her. It was her whole childhood too. Hardly anyone gave her a chance, but I always wondered what she'd have become if she were here to show everyone that she's not what people say she is. So, with all the past charges, you know, the child cruelty and so forth, maybe the mother had a bad reputation, if you will, through the schools or something. I'm not sure, but that is so bizarre to me. Like, why would you make all that if you did it? No, see, you wouldn't. Prime Candy, I mean, maybe it's the wrong generation, but my family red rum isn't something I want lost out there, sadly. Young ones talk just like, okay, when my dad passed away, I came to you guys. I told you I lost my dad. I told you how much he meant to me. I did the same thing she's doing. It depends on how comfortable you are sharing with others. It certainly doesn't mean that I harmed my dad, which I was, 1,800 miles away, and he passed away in natural circumstance. But you get what I'm saying. I think she has a sense of guilt because she didn't stop it in some way. Podcast Queen says if she did do this, unless she's having regrets or like feeling of guilt. And she could have guilt and not have committed the crime. Okay? That is extremely possible and likely. Sorry if I hadn't mentioned previous, but is she confessing? I don't think so. Look at this one. She says, life's hard, but at least I have my mom. Right? At least I have my mom. My mom. Life's hard, but at least I have my mom. I don't even understand that one. Okay, here's one she did. Let's get back over here so you can see. She says she's been through hell. This is actually her, I think, is showing her trying to stand strong, right? Be strong. Get through all this, right? She says, I'll bring my, and if you read it, it says, appreciation life. Appreciate life. I'll bring my, I don't know, something, appreciate life. Okay? There it says, hard fought. Now that's weird. That's almost borderline creepy. Watch it again. So she starts off like trying to get her zing back together, but she's losing it. Hard fight, heartfelt. So she's been through hell. And then she's hallelujah. I don't get that. Is it Christmas time or something? And these are just put together by someone else? Is that not connected to the other pictures? See, that's where it could be confusing if people are grabbing all her different posts and putting them together out of context. Because hallelujah is fine if it's Christmas time, right? And it's before the murders. But if it's after, then it's getting weird. See, this case is so bizarre to you. I totally get that. Right, Rach, this doesn't sound like a guilty person to me either. Prime Candy, I don't believe she did this, just my own gut instinct. At this point, I haven't seen enough to make her appear guilty to me either. Okay, Laura says, my 16-year-old was at college yesterday. He rang out of the blue to tell me he hadn't been for a poop in 2 to 3 days. Very random, but yes, teenagers share everything. Thank you. Carla says she sounds guilty that she's the one that didn't find them. Her little sister has the memory of that, in my opinion. Bam, that's what I think too. and think about this. If the dad has such bad heart problems that they have predicted he only has a couple months left, why go take him out brutally? Just go wait it out a little bit. I'm just saying. Chest pains for dad are not a problem with heart. Yeah, he had a bad heart problem. It is new, Liam. It is. And there's a lot to it. I'm just sharing everything I got here, and you can replay. I greatly appreciate replay. We need it for the algorithm right now because I had 2 weeks off because I've been very sick. Paula says the tree behind her has lights on it. That's what I'm asking. If it's hallelujah because it's Christmas, then that's before the red rum. You feel the same. All right, let's go ahead and let's look at this one. She says, I sit in silence when someone starts talking about mental health. I could understand that. So far, I don't really have any big red flags. There is one coming, though. Then she says, because I know how it feels not to be able to express your emotions when you're consumed by them. Well, and if you'd lost your parents, you would feel overwhelmed, I'm sure. Because I know how it feels to hide tears behind a smile. Because I know how it feels to have people saying the worst lies about you at your worst. Because I know how it feels to fall asleep crying and wake up crying because you're still there. Because I know how it feels to beg to God to take you out of here. But I also know God and how it feels to be in the lightness He guides us to. So I know what it feels like to fight to stay. So that to me, it's just rough. It's just rough watching this. I don't see anything alarming yet. Now this one, this gets weird. This is a friend of Sarah's. And what you're going to hear is that this friend of Sarah's was never allowed inside Sarah's home at her mother's house. Sarah was not allowed to have friends ever in her mother and stepfather's home. That's alarming. Why can't she have friends over? Hi, Tammy. Welcome, lovely. Good to see you. Right, podcast queen. I'm going to need to deep dive into this case. Nothing makes sense. Well, and that's why I brought it to you, because her trial's going to start in January of 26. So that's coming up. Not too short. Believe it or not, it's less than, what are we at? Like, 3-4 months? Thank you, Prime Candy. You don't, Podcast Queen says, I don't feel like she could have done this with everything you have shown. Well, and I don't know. I'm just keeping showing. I'm keep showing you stuff. Archer and the Empress, hello, lovely. You definitely want to rewatch this one. Yes. And I'm happy to be back too. I missed everybody terribly so. All right, listen to what the friend has to say.
Are you and Sarah friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is Carol your mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I've heard your mom say that you guys went to school together. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
At East Coweta?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you gone to school together since then, or that was the last time you went to school together?
I'm going to say 9th grade. She started at East Coweta High School, and then she moved.
Is that when, do you know if that's when she moved with her mom?
I'm going to say yes.
Now, so that was 9th grade, but have you guys continued to be friends since then?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say friends, talk to me about what that looks like. Are you guys talking on the phone?
Via Snapchat sometimes. We would call, I'd check in on her. I was never allowed over at her house.
Did you hear that?
She was allowed at your house?
Yes, ma'am, I'd go and get her.
Listen.
Via Snapchat sometimes. We would call, I'd check in on her. I was never allowed over at her house.
I was never allowed over at her house.
But she was allowed at your house?
Yes, ma'am, I'd go and get her.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I would go and get her.
Okay, you would go and get her. So you have a car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have a driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
And we shouldn't be scared?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm a great driver.
Okay. Now, so you guys have kept in touch over the years, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when you guys keep in touch, what sort of things do you do?
Well, usually I go and get her, and then we go to the gas station and get something to eat. It's an hour 30 drive back home, so we'd blast music like teenagers would do, going home. And we go home, and I have a 2-year-old son, and we would play with him for hours until he fell asleep. And then we'd watch movies.
Okay.
That's what we do.
Now, at any time have you, well, let me ask this. Have you talked to Sarah since she's been incarcerated?
I have.
And what have those conversations been like?
Telling me she loves me. She's so thankful for me. She's excited to get to go.
I think you nailed it, Linda. Most of the times, I don't know about y'all, but if there was a kid in school and you could not go to their house, it could be that they were underprivileged and maybe they were embarrassed of the way their parents lived or something. But quite often, it was because there was rugs in the home, which we already know. We already know that rugs allegedly were involved. Now, Sarah allegedly said that there was a large amount of marijuana that she knew about that was in the home. And guess what? The investigators actually found a large amount of marijuana hid in the parents' room behind a dresser, according to Grandpa. So, if we were to take the rumor that family has heard from the kids that the parents allegedly ripped someone off a couple weeks prior, and then we have the week before somebody showing up allegedly at the home in front of the kid, telling the kid to go take a walk, brandishing and bringing a weapon to the home, pointing it at Kristin and James Brock, who then a week later allegedly are, right? As that one little TikToker said. Okay. And then we find out that there was a lot of green stuff, the Mary Jane, large amount, hidden behind a dresser. You feel me? I don't know, y'all. And this girl, Sarah, can't have anybody over at her mom's house. Something's wrong here. Now, this is one thing that is a little bit weird. She says in this TikTok, you're just thinking it's a small thing that happened. She says, you're just thinking it's a small thing that happened. That's the only red flag I've got so far. Because no, it's not just a small thing that happened. Why would you think that it's just a small thing that happened? But then we don't have a text of timestamp. We don't know when this video was recorded or released. But here you go. You're just thinking it's a small thing that happened. She writes, I just want my mama. I can't do this without my mom. It's an anxiety attack as we enter the parking lot. Stop. She's showing she has hives. Sent into an anxiety attack as we enter the parking lot to the church where my parents always took me. Now, it does not say that this is the day of the funeral, like some people are saying. This is just going to the church, and she's got hives. She says, I still can't comprehend the fact I'm never going to get to go home. Okay. her shirt, her t-shirt, and she's smelling it and crying. WDYM, I can't call my mom. This can't be real. Now this one, she's on her way to my parents' funeral. Still doesn't feel real, but it still stings. Why me? The world ended when it happened to me. That's a picture of her mom. To me, this is a very, very sad, grieving girl. Rach says, love you, MD, and appreciate all the hard work you put in for us. Thank you, beautiful. Thank you for the $5 Snooper Chat. Thank you, lovely. Yeah, they're saying she murdered her parents. Oh, I pushed the wrong button. Hold on. That song by Brandon Lake and Jelly Roll. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you again, Rach. Appreciate you, love. Thank you. All right, let's go here. So this is Sarah, which I believe this is when she was arrested. But listen to this.
I want to show you guys some more of Sarah Grace Patrick's social media posts before her TikTok account was taken down. Now, I had literally just been looking at her account before I made this video, saving videos and things, and it instantly was taken down. But I did manage to download a few things and to get some screenshots. Sarah started posting content in March, which is a month after the crime occurred. And a lot of her videos were things like this.
Okay. There's one thing missing here. Linda Beatty says, Viv, I was seeing the same thing. Okay, you guys. Hey, Annie, good to see you. Welcome back. All right, let's get over here. I want you to think about this one thing that is missing from all the social media. And this is very important. If you were in a home with 3 other people, and during the night, that home got broke into, and 2 of those people had become a homicide victims, right? Would you not have absolute fear that that person would come back after you? Would you not fear to put your face on camera and talk about the red rums, about missing them? Would you not have fear of an attacker? That is the one thing, if there is a red flag in this case, that is an extremely red flag for me, is that Sarah Grace never made a video about being scared or seemed concerned in any way of putting her face out there to accidentally attract the killer upon her. A complete lack of fear for self-preservation is one of the biggest red flags in any case. So I will say that has me completely concerned. It really, really does. That is true. All of them dressed with makeup by the time they're 9. It's terrible. So look at this.
These pictures and videos talk about how sad she is. And
oh, this is that girl that talks so quiet. I don't know if you'll be able to hear her. But she's basically saying in all these posts, let me see if I can boost her at all.
as a 16 or 17-year-old girl,
I can't even boost her volume.
terrified that whoever did this to my parents was
She's saying, why isn't she scared that this person's going to come back after her? Right? And it is a big question. Why would Sarah not be so scared of the attacker if the attacker's still out there? Viv says she didn't seem to be like that before, though, Linda. is what I mean. A drastic change is a sign. Well, listen, y'all. Just listen to me. Listen to me, Linda. Listen to me. There's going to be a drastic change in the personality of a child who just lost their parents, because they're never going to be the same again. They're going to have to grow up real quick, right? Liam, thank you, lovely MD, the best on YouTube. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Greatly appreciate you. Jennyfield says, okay, phone is dying and I've still got to drive, Dad. And I'll see you soon, love. Thank you for replay. Yeah, you can't, how do you judge somebody if they lost their parents? Cheryl, it's the no gun residue proof, in my opinion. That's huge. That is huge. I mean, big time. So, this is where I caught this one right here, the niece setting up Sarah for a downfall. Because I caught it right here where she's talking about how Sarah didn't try to help, even though the family, including her own mother, was telling Sarah Grace, get your butt out there online on the internet and get us some help to solve this case. Then when Sarah Grace hits up all these true crimers and says, I think it would be a big hit. Can you do something and look at this case? I think it'll get you a lot of clicks and views, because she's a 16-year-old and she's trying to do what they want her to do. Now they're like, oh, did you see how she went and talked and asked TikTokers to help with the case? That's about as hypocritical as you can get it. And that's why this one right here makes me sick to my stomach when I listen to her. I'm just saying, it does. You create a sign. Hey, maybe she now the person, in my opinion. She should be in fear, right, Tammy? It makes you wonder, why isn't she fearful of something happening to her? I just don't know. Good vibes only. Okay, listen to what this woman says, because she's the one right here coming clean and telling us who sent Sarah Grace out there on the line to contact the internet sleuths. This is why Sarah did it.
Did she ever, or I guess, what type of communication did your family, whether it was your mom, and I know Sarah Grace had texted with her a lot, but I mean, how often was she interacting, I guess, as recently as last month, or what was the timeline after the murders of her communicating with everybody?
She contacted my mom pretty much every day. At first probably multiple times a week, but here recently in the past couple months, they probably spoke every single day.
Probably, because you don't know that it's already been established that it was after the first couple weeks that your family, including your mother, no longer were taking this child's calls. So the conversations that you're alleging, you're having to use the word probably, but that doesn't mean that it really happened, right?
And my mom was relentless online. She posted every single day. She wanted to know who did this. Of course we had suspicions, but you don't want to be stuck on something. You want anybody that has anything to offer this case to come forward. And she would...
Well, you hypocrite, you are the one that was stuck on Grace. You said it right out of your mouth, quote unquote, pretty much from the beginning. You're a hypocrite, in my opinion.
I asked Sarah, hey, can you need to help. You need to try to find this out. Try to, post something online. And she never once reposted anything of my mom. She never tried to help. It just came out that she was messaging content creators, but she never did anything herself. She never...
What? She never did anything herself. She's a 16-year-old girl that lost her parents. And you guys are the one pushing her, even though you've had suspicion of her from day one. You're pushing her out to the internet, telling her to go get help. Right? So what does Sarah do? She contacts creators and she says, I think it would be a really big hit because the only person who posted about it made it as the first image you see when you Google the names. Plus, I can give you intel. Just I can't give you anything that could break the case because that's what the cops told me. And they're holding this against her, even though you just heard this woman saying that her mother was pushing and demanding that this child that lost her parents get out online and get some help. Here you go. Doodle Tree says from an investigative standpoint, it would seem that it was someone who knew them, hoping for answers and swift justice. Sarah Grace says, most definitely, since they knew the house. And they're holding what against her? I'm at a loss. So then she contacted this person called Shoe Lover, saying the same thing, you know, you want to help? Well, then Sarah got arrested. And then this shoe lover jumped on the bandwagon with everybody else because she happened to be the victim or the survivor of her son's own murder, which she's grieving. So she's an emotional handbasket here. And she turns on Sarah and she says, how dare you? How dare you reach out to me? Thank God I didn't see this until today. She says, but how dare you reach out to me like you need a mother, knowing what you are accused of doing to your own mother and father, and knowing that my son was murdered. So, hold on a minute. Sarah being accused of something doesn't mean she did it. And she probably really could use her mother right now. I'm not even gonna read the rest of what that person said. Now, this was just a few days ago, y'all. Like, literally just a few days ago. And there's no bond. They denied her bond. She will sit till trial.
Judge denied bond for Sarah Grace Patrick. The hearing featured testimony accused of killing her mom and stepfather. A judge denied bond for Sarah Grace Patrick. The hearing featured testimony from her divided family. Members of her stepfather's family told the judge she does belong in jail because she could harm others.
We are very thankful that the court has recognized the seriousness of this case and made the decision to deny bond.
She's innocent until proven guilty. They've taken a different view, and it's their right to, to speak freely. They're angry, and
I'll be right back.
The judge promised a speedy trial and set a date of January 5th.
Well, today
So, the girl's now not being released till after trial, or, right? Exactly, Jennifer. She can't win for losing. Exactly, Tammy. They're acting like she's a full-blown adult and she should know. They're manipulating her. And I'm wondering, is it possible, because they know damn well that this woman might possibly know that her uncle could be the reason that this happened, and they're protecting their family name, and so they're pushing this to be Sarah's problem, right? Oh Lord, poor girl. Is she being held at a juvenile jail or adult? She was 16 at the time. If this girl is innocent, you're right, Prime Candy. This is devastating for her. Tammy, agree, Mama D. Create a sign. Thank you for the $1.99 snooper chat. Thank you, lovely. Greatly appreciate you. Aw, thank you again, Liam. So you guys feel me. Flight risk. Where's the 17-year-old gonna go? No money, no car. I know, Jennifer. I know. She had it all set up to stay with church family, too. Good vibes only. Definitely Prime Candy. She's still a kid. Blame it on the stepchild. That's right, Viv. It's like a Cinderella story. Cheryl says, yes, ma'am, I had to grow up real fast at 11 years old and took on adult responsibilities. Aw, Cheryl, hon, I love you. I'm sorry you went through that. And see, I'm not guilty and I'm apologizing. I'm sorry, right? Rach says, bloody hell, Jen, I was just typing that. Wow, she's still a child. Exactly. Now, this is the latest, greatest update. I'll read it to you. It's basically right up to the moment. The brief. Teen suspect Sarah Grace Patrick has been indicted on 8 counts, including malice murder and felony murder, in the February shooting deaths of her mother and stepfather in Carroll County. A judge denied bond after an emotional testimony from a divided family, with prosecutors arguing Patrick, Sarah Grace Patrick, poses a danger despite supporters calling for her release. Patrick was arrested in July. Her arraignment is scheduled for September 22nd, and trial could begin as early as January 5th if the case proceeds without delays. Carroll County, Georgia. Grand jury has formally indicted Sarah Grace Patrick, the 17-year-old accused of fatally shooting her mother and stepfather in February. Right. No, Prime, this is in Georgia. In Georgia, hun. It is sad for these kids. Creta Sign says, tears came to my eyes seeing and hearing this. Absolutely. And I'm not, I always want to deep dive, right? We don't want to just take what somebody is telling us for granted. We want to really look at the evidence and see for ourselves to discern. So I'm not telling you Sarah didn't do this. I'm not telling you Sarah did do this. What I'm saying is, here is the entire block of information of my deep dive. And we have a lot of questions now. It's not that cut and dry. And it's highly possible that there was an intruder, because we do show that. Let me go back and grab that grandfather showing that break-in. The forced entry. Let's go back to that real quick. This is the most disturbing, right? Where does he show it really close to the screen for you? I think he pulls it back up a second time, doesn't he? And puts it right up to the screen. I thought he did. I guess that was it. I'll go back and grab it. Okay, I can find it now. There it is. Look at that. Right there, you can clearly see a crowbar. And that's a fresh one. That's fresh metal. That's not like a year old. And so we have to deep dive to get to the truth. Prime Candy, we have to deep dive. Nobody wants to tell us the truth or give us the facts in your opinion. I agree. Liam says, depending on the gun used, it's not easy for a kid to shoot a gun due to the kickback unless it was close range while the parents was asleep. It'd still be kickback. It's still, if she's not used to shooting a gun, which Sarah has no training, doesn't even know how to use a gun allegedly, it's going to terrify them if they've never fired a gun. It's a wonder she didn't. Oh my God, I got to tell you something. Oh my golly. If you've never used a gun before, right? So here's the problem. I had to fire a gun. We had a kitten that was beyond help. It had been run over by a car. There was no saving this kitten, and it was suffering, and I'll just say it was beyond help. And I needed to put it down. And I didn't know how to do that. And I was very, very young. I do not recommend this at home. I was in my 20s, like 20 or something, and I had never fired a gun. Most people do not realize that if you put your hand on the gun and your hand right here goes over the slide, because that's how you think you got to hold it to be firm, you're going to have gun marks that tear your hand up as that slide on that gun comes back. So when the gun is cocked, then it trigger is pulled, the slide comes back to release that bullet and shoot it forward. That thing, that gun, ripped across the back of my hand. So she doesn't even have gun residue on her hands or her clothing. How'd she pull this stuff off, right? Right, there's going to be forensic photographs. All of this should be in there. They could have her on an ankle monitor and bond, correct. Yeah, if you don't know how to fire a gun, you could easily injure yourself. And so she didn't do that, nor did she even have gun residue on her, but she never fired a gun before. I'm just not buying this crap. I'm not. I feel like it's bad police. It's clear as day, Prime Candy, that it's forced entry. I agree. Why would they say that? Unless they're hiding something, right? Unless they're hiding something. All right, you guys, we have been on here for days, right? I've given you my very, very best. I hope that this helps you understand the case a little better. I'll be following this case right along with you and keeping you updated as we go, along with all the other cases that we do. I invite you to replay so that you can get a better handle of everything in case you want to listen to something without chatting, so forth. And the replay, that algorithm, really, we got to feed the algorithm, right? To let them know we still want to be on the air, even though we haven't been on the air for, 2 weeks, because Mama D been sick. So I want to say a prayer. I want to say a prayer for Sarah Grace's truth to come out, whatever that is. I pray for justice for her stepdad, James, and her mother, Kristin. I pray for the true justice of whoever did do this, Heavenly Father. We ask them to be seen, to be published, to be found out. Whoever it is, no matter who it is, we would like the truth to come out for this case. And if Sarah Grace is innocent, Lord Jesus, we ask that she is protected from further harm and that she be given the grace that she deserves. And if she is guilty, Lord Jesus, we ask you to make sure that that is known through the evidence. Show us the light, show us the truth, and the justice to be real. In Jesus' name we pray all these things. Amen. And that's all we can do is leave it in God's hands. Stay abroad, pay attention to all this. I love you all very, very much. Yeah, leave a comment. I will heart it. And so I read it. Now, if you ask me a question, I usually don't have a lot of time because there is so many. And I can't do that to everybody. I can't answer all the questions. So I love you guys to the moon and back. Remember, hold on, let's do our infomercial for self here. Tomorrow, don't forget, over on Crime Story Mama, we're going to be doing a reading on Sebastian Rogers tomorrow. He is a 16-year-old missing out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. And then on Sunday, we're going to do this painting for The Voice, where I'm going to share a gorgeous, fantastic painting. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, I'm still getting over it. Still. But I'm still working. We're going to share a painting I did for Sebastian Rogers, and it's going to knock you off your socks. And whoever the highest bid at our charity auction is, they will pay that amount directly to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and we will ship that painting to you for free, and it will be yours to keep. And it's a lot of fun. We actually get bidding wars, and it gets like all up in here and in my house. We have a lot of fun on that. So with that, I love you all to the moon and back. Let me get over here. Make sure I get all this off the screen. Are you ready? Let's get out of here. I love you guys. Thank you so incredibly much for supporting the channel. Whether you like it or you subscribe or you pin it, you pin the bell or you join our tarot class, whatever you do. I love you so much. Thank you. Love you to the moon and back. Bye for now, love.